former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, who is asking for treatment abroad, which is a human rights demand. And we are here to support this initiative and to support also the Bangladesh National Party, who are asking for this human rights treatment. So I would like to introduce the list of my speakers. And first of all, I would like to thank MEP Martuchello for joining us today. Maybe we need a small introduction about MEP Martuchello first. So MEP Martuchello is a sitting MEP in the European Parliament. He is a human rights activist. He defends a lot of human rights, and he's also defending the minorities. He is a member of the Committee on the Environment, Public Health and Food Safety, a member of the Conference of Delegation Chairs, substitute member of the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs, the Delegation for Relations, former member of the Delegation for Relations with the Arab Peninsula and the Union for the Mediterranean. Also, MEP Martuchello always pays close attention to violations of human rights and disruptions of the democratic order ongoing all over the world. Through the instrument of diplomatic work and questions for written answer, he is very vocal in trying to put an end to such deplorable events. So thank you, MEP Martuchello, for joining us. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Khaleda Zia is a Bangladeshi politician who served as a prime minister of Bangladesh from 91 to 96, and again from 21 to 26. She has the proud distinction of being the first woman in her country's history, and only the second woman amongst all of the Muslim majority countries to aid a democratic government as a prime minister. Sadly, this highly distinguished lady finds herself in the most difficult of circumstances, deprived of her most basic human rights and liberties. We are here to talk about it, and I want to listen to the other interview of other distinguished speakers, and we want to put a light about what is happening in Bangladesh. This conference today, we have not only members of the Bangladesh expatriate civil society, but also European Union political actors and the human rights activists, calling for Khaleda Zia, a lady of advanced years and who is suffering from a potential life. So I asked to my assistant to read all my speech, and you know that we will work together about this topic because we defend human rights in Bangladesh, and we are a lot of members of the Parliament that work with her, and we will able to fight for freedom and for the freedom of the Bangladesh. Thank you. And my assistant will read my speech.
Hello, Valerio. Thanks for joining.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you
yes,
for joining.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much.
Thank
you very much. As Mr. Martuchello said, I will read the speech on his behalf. And well, Khaleda Zia is a Bangladeshi politician who served as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh from 1991 to 1996, and again from 2001 to 2006. She has the proud distinction of being the first woman in her country's history and only the second woman amongst all the Muslim majority countries to head a democratic government as prime minister. Sadly, this highly distinguished lady finds herself in the most difficult of circumstances, deprived of her most basic human rights and liberties. Following her highly successful political career, defined by her unrelenting devotion to her country and to Bangladeshi culture, in 2018, she was jailed for a total of 17 years on what have been widely described as politically motivated and dubious charges relating to fraud and corruption. She has repeatedly denied these charges. The United States Department, in its 2020 country reports on human rights practices, stated that lack of evidence to support the conviction suggests the case was a political ploy to remove her from the electoral process. Amnesty International raised concerns that her fair trial rights were not respected. That a lady democratically elected to high office and a most courageous champion of women's rights in the context of a predominantly Muslim country should be placed in such a position should a matter of concern to all in our enlightened global society. This is an issue that, I would argue strongly, should be seriously considered by the European External Action Service, which has the highest level dealings with the government of Bangladesh, as this conference is calling for. Bangladesh is a young and thriving growing nation and a major trading and political partner of the EU. We Europeans want nothing more than to build upon our relationship with this great country. My own country, Italy, for example, is a major importer of Bangladeshi garments and textiles, a vital economic sector in Italy and in the EU in general. Bangladesh is not just our friend, it is our partner. We want to grow this relationship. In this conference today, we have not only members of Bangladeshi expatriate civil society, but also European Union political actors and human rights activists calling for Khaleda Zia, a lady of advanced years and who is suffering from potentially life-threatening illnesses, to be released from her imprisonment in order to receive the life-saving medical treatment she so desperately needs, and which is available to her in the UK, in Germany, and in the USA. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party in Belgium should be commended for its actions in bringing this urgent human rights issue to public attention, and in a dignified way, respecting the law and the basic human rights of a vulnerable lady. I note that my fellow speakers include not only a highly esteemed member of Britain's House of Lords, but also senior and respected members of European political society. Already today, in peace and dignity, human rights defenders have voiced their concerns outside the European Commission. I lend my voice here today to call for the highly esteemed Madame Khaleda Zia to be released from her imprisonment so that she can receive the medical treatment she so urgently needs, and that she be treated with the dignity that the lady of her years, who has devoted her life to public service, she so richly deserves. Thank you very much. And thank you on behalf of MEP Fulvio Martuscello.
Thank you so much, Valerio, and thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for your time, and special thanks to MEP Martuscello, who is following this case very closely, and he's supporting the Bangladeshi people and Bangladeshi civil society for their quest for freedom and for justice. So let's move on now to the second speaker. I don't know if Mr. Wajid Khan, Lord Wajid Khan, member of the UK House of Lords, is joining us now. Okay, in the meantime, I would like to thank Mr. Iqbal Babu, who is joining us from Bangladesh National Party, who is and who is also one of the contributors of the success of this conference. Also, Mr. Rahman, who is here, Secretary General, thanks, and President of the Bangladesh National Party. Okay. Are you ready for your speech? Okay. You. Okay. So we are still waiting for Mr. Wajid Khan to join us. Okay, in the meantime, I'm just going to speak about Mr. Wajid Khan, who is also former MEP, a British Pakistani Labour Party politician who served as a member of the European Parliament from 2017 to 2019, and as a mayor of Burnley from 2020 to 2021. And he is also engaged in human rights community, and he also engaged in workers' rights and in empowerment, youth empowerment and human rights. Otherwise, we can see if the next speaker, Mr. Asaduzzaman, Human Rights Affairs Secretary of the Bangladesh National Party, can join us. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Good afternoon from here. Good afternoon and good morning.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for inviting me to join this discussion on Begum Khaleda Zia's issue. Begum Khaleda Zia.
We are really honored to have you today. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Begum Khaleda Zia, you know, as you have described, that she is a former Prime Minister of Bangladesh. She is the heart of Bangladesh. She is the heart of the people of Bangladesh. She is the sole central point of the Bangladeshi sovereignty and nationality. She is the person who is the vanguard for democracy in Bangladesh. Now, Bangladesh is passing through an authoritarian regime. The election system, the constitutional system, the judicial system, the institutions here have been made fragile by this authoritarian government in Bangladesh. And in order to retain their power and prolong their power, this government has made Begum Khaleda Zia subjected to political persecutions. And you all know that political persecution is a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute as well as under the Act 1973 here in Bangladesh. So Begum Khaleda Zia, no doubt, has been made subjected to political persecution. I would like to draw attention to the international community on a particular issue, that is whether Begum Khaleda Zia deserves to get bail under the law of Bangladesh, even if the complaint against her is genuine. Being a lawyer, practicing lawyer in this country, there are certain criteria for granting bail. Number one, if it is short sentence. Number two, if she is a lady. Number three, the age issue. Number four, the health issue. Begum Khaleda Zia qualifies all the four corners, but she did not get bail because of this political influence over the judiciary in Bangladesh, as well as the authoritarian government is trying to control Begum Khaleda Zia and her party members to refrain her from going for any movement for restoration of democracy in Bangladesh. We, the people of Bangladesh, are now facing tremendous type of pressure by this government on political persecutions, as well as extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearance, and so on. You will find human rights reports from Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, FEED, OMCT, all these internationally recognized NGOs, that in this authoritarian regime, as many as 600 plus people have been made subjected to enforced disappearance. Around 3,000 people have been made subjected to extrajudicial killings. Around 3.6 million workers of opposition activists, being BNP activists, have been made subjected to political persecution by imposing politically motivated cases. And Begum Khaleda Zia, being the vanguard of democracy, being the vanguard of sovereignty of Bangladesh, being the most popular leader of Bangladesh ever born in Bangladesh, has been made the subject matter of retaining their power. And we, the people of Bangladesh, the activists of Bangladesh, the lawyer community, the professional communities are demanding her release immediately. And we echo the voice with the international community that she should be released immediately in order to save her life. Nothing is more important than the life of a human being. Begum Khaleda Zia's life is now in danger, as has been reported by her doctors who have made the opinion upon forming a proper medical board for her treatment. They have unequivocally reported and said that, prescribed that she should immediately be taken into any advanced country for advanced treatment, because her treatment is not possible here in Bangladesh. With these words, I would like to thank the organizers here for organizing, for raising voice for Begum Khaleda Zia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asaduzaman, Human Rights Affairs Secretary for BNP, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and who is defending the rights of former Prime Minister and human rights activist, Mrs. Khaleda Zia, who has been working for so many years for this country and who has achieved so many rights regarding women, regarding children, regarding democracy. And it is a human rights, it's calling for a human rights duty to call for her treatment, medical treatment abroad at this age for a lady who has done so much for this country. Next speaker, who is Ghazi Munir Ahmed, who is the president of Bangladesh National Party in Denmark. Thanks for joining us from Denmark, and thanks for being here today in Brussels. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our honorable leaders from many other different countries, colleagues, human rights activities, international communities, leaders of the European Union, journalists, ladies and gentlemen, the presence. I am Ghazi Munir Ahmed, President of Bangladesh Nationalist Party of Denmark. Today I am here to say some few words regarding our national opposition leader, Begum Khaleda Zia, who was the first lady Prime Minister, as well as 3 times elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh. She is the wife to the most popular President of Bangladesh, the declarer of our freedom of Bangladesh, the founder of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, founder of democracy and multi-party democratic system of Bangladesh, late President Ziaur Rahman. Begum Khaleda Zia, who has devoted her life to establish democracy and the human rights of Bangladesh. She is the person who provide the vast facilities to the education for the girls for free of cost. She played her vast role for the empowerment of the women every stage. She has been working on to change the destiny of the people of Bangladesh. She is the only leader who does not bow down any injustice. He has been working to establish the justice of Bangladesh. These are the some reason the people of Bangladesh recognize her the mother of democracy. She is an extraordinary patriotic leader who has no parallelity. The people of Bangladesh needs her leadership, ongoing struggle, restore democracy. Now at the age of 76, Begum Khaleda Zia is critically ill. She has been suffering from some chronic illness as diabetes, fluctuating blood pressure, and arthritis. The Medical Board of Bangladesh, Khaleda Zia recommended her to be admitted into an advanced medical center, especially UK, Germany, or US, as there is no longer option in Bangladesh medical treatment. Democracy of Bangladesh is turned on since 2008, when one-party dictator ruler Sheikh Hasina and her brutal law and enforcement agent fabricated as a super election, which was the boycott by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and its alliance. But the painful object is, since that time, the dictator Sheikh Hasina and her brutal law and enforcement agent have sent Begum Khaleda Zia into a prison as a conviction of false fabricated political case with a view to demolish her politically as her vast popularity. Now, our urge to the international community, the leaders of European Union, International Human Rights Organization, and the press media to pursue the dictator Sheikh Hasina and her law and enforcement agent to extend release Begum Khaleda Zia from the prison in order to have the better treatment to save her life, and for the very common demand of the peoples of Republic Bangladesh. We hope and pray Begum Khaleda Zia will come around from the sickness very soon, and I wish her secure, good health, and long life. I thank you all for having an attention at me and have the opportunity to express my say. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ghazi Munir Ahmed, President of the Bangladesh National Party in Denmark. And thanks for coming here today to give your speech. And we thank all the people who are coming here, all the people who joined the demonstration in Shuman, a peaceful demonstration which was organized by Bangladesh Nationalist Party as well as by European Association for the Defense of Minorities. Of course, there are some speakers who are joining, but we have some questions from journalists. So we try to alternate between the questions of the journalists who are joining live, but also we try to have our speakers, especially our VIP speakers, and we thank them for their time. Thank you, sir, for joining, and thank you for being here today in this panel. As Mr. Munir Ahmed pointed out, Mrs. Khaleda Zia is the first former prime minister in her country, but the second in South Asia after Benazir Bhutto. And also she introduced so many things regarding education and regarding education of girls especially, and women's rights. So she was the achievement of the government of Mrs. Khaleda Zia was really successful. She achieved so many things. So she introduced the parliamentary form of the government through the 12th Amendment to the Constitution. She made provision for elections of city mayors by direct votes of the respective residents. She was enacting law to provide identity cards to voters. She was adopting legislation against repression on women and children, providing for capital punishment or life imprisonment for the offender. So she was also protecting women's rights and children's rights. She was initiating steps for construction of mausoleum of Reza Bazar in honor of the martyred intellectuals, formation of some 60 parliamentary committees involving opposition lawmakers to ensure opposition participation in the affairs of the states. So she's also a democratic lady. She was opening the floor to the opposition to exist in the country. Unfortunately, this is not the case today. So that's why we ask for medical treatment of Mrs. Khaleda Zia, because she was fighting for the country. She was fighting for women's rights, for children's rights, for this country. She was building the country. So at least she has this right of getting medical treatment, especially as you explained, her health situation is really complicated. And in the field of education, Mrs. Khaleda Zia was enacting a law of making primary education compulsory, which is something very important regarding women's rights and children's rights, guaranteeing free education for girls up to grade 10. I know that people here in Europe know about education of girls in developing countries, but sometimes we ignore what these countries have made. Sometimes we ignore what these leaders, with women leaders, have initiated in their countries. So she was guaranteeing education for free. She was guaranteeing compulsory education and introducing the food for education programs for poor children, also sustainable goals, inaugurations of the country's open university and national university, a grant of permission to host the private universities and medical colleges to expand the scope of higher education. So she was also promoting higher education for women and girls, and making highest allocation for the education sector in all the annual budget, increasing government contribution to salaries of private school teachers by 80%. So she was also supporting teachers and supporting women teachers especially, and granting teachers time scale, setting up a madrasa training institute in Dhaka for madrasa teachers, and entitling Iptidai madrasas, primary level madrasas, benefits as received by non-government primary school. So there is a big list of achievements of Mrs. Khaleda Zia, and the country and the children, women, all the nation is grateful for what this lady has done to her country. So I would like to move on maybe to some questions for our speakers here, especially regarding I think that here journalists, media, and maybe political leaders, they are not aware of what Mrs. Khaleda Zia has done, and this is the objective here is to raise awareness and to promote what this lady has done, especially to her country and also to women in South Asia, because she was an example. She was an inspiration for young ladies into her country and to the region as a whole. I have a question from Angur Nahar Monti, freelance journalist from Bangladesh, who says, as we know, began Khaleda Zia, chairperson of Bangladesh National Party, And former Prime Minister of Bangladesh is a convicted prisoner. Through currently, she is not in prison as taking medical treatment in the Advocacy hospital in Bangladesh on human ground. Would you mind to inform that what sort of treatments she needs, which are not possible in Bangladesh, and if she needs to go to abroad, and what would be the legal procedures? So I would like to hear about one of the leaders here of the Bangladesh National Party. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah, I have a question, please,
Yes,
to put to the panel.
Please do.
Why doesn't Madame Zia appeal to the president for clemency or for mercy to receive a pardon? This would seem a logical request. She's obviously in a terminal illness. She's not going to cause any damage to anybody. Why doesn't she take that course of action?
Maybe any leader from the party to answer the question.
Can I answer this question, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Asaduzzaman, who is also following us from Bangladesh. Yes, sir.
Yes. Number one, the legal provisions here in Bangladesh is under the Constitution, under Article 49 of our Constitution, for granting any clemency or pardons or whatever, that power lies with the government, not with the president. President is a mere signatory under the Constitution. The decision shall have to come from the government. Under Section 401, the government has the similar type of power. Second, Begum Khaleda Zia being a politician, and the evidence shows that she did not commit any wrong. So when she will apply to the president, she will have to concede that she had committed this offense, which she will never. Because without committing any offense, as has been alleged by the government, and which has been reported by the US State Department's Human Rights Report, UK State Department's Human Rights Report, Begum Khaleda Zia has been detained there or has been made now under house arrest as a matter of political persecution. In that view of the matter, she has decided not to beg pardon to the president, which is ultimately the power begging pardon to the government, this authoritarian government. She does not want to bow her head to the fascism. That is as simple as it is.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asaduzzaman, for your answer. But can I ask you to answer the question of the journalist who said, would you mind to inform that what sort of treatments she needs, which are not possible in Bangladesh, because you are right here in right there in Bangladesh. So maybe you can explain to us the critical health situation of Mrs. Khaleda Zia, and it's impossible to have this treatment in her home country, unfortunately.
She is a 76-year-old lady. She has been undergoing several types of old age ailments, including liver cirrhosis. And liver cirrhosis is such a disease, you know, that it always needs very advanced treatment, which is not available in Bangladesh, as has been prescribed by the board of doctors who are treating her. So this is not that the doctors are trying to say that her treatment is possible here in Bangladesh. It is the doctors, medical board, who have prescribed that she needs an advanced treatment abroad.
I see. Thank you so much. I think that the answer is clear, that she really needs a medical treatment abroad, and her situation is really critical. And unfortunately, she cannot get this health treatment in Bangladesh. Yes, madam.
Hi.
Can you please introduce yourself? I mean,
yeah?
your name
Okay.
and
yes, no problem. Catherine Fior, EU reporter. You said that you want the European External Action Service to intervene. Have you asked them to? I mean, are they here today? We're in the center of Brussels. So I'm wondering if that invitation was sent out, and if they're not here, I mean, do you know what their position is on this situation? And on the medical treatment, I mean, I have to say, I mean, I'm not a doctor, and obviously it's this person suffers from diabetes, but you know, these things like high blood pressure and treatment of diabetes, they are, you know, you seem to be asking for a higher level of treatment, you know, by saying, I mean, does everybody in Bangladesh get sent to sort of, you know, UK, Germany, you know, United States when they can't get the treatment locally? It would seem odd to me to ask for this special treatment if it wasn't available to the population at large. So if you could just answer that as well. Yeah, I think that's all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Catherine from EU, Fiore from EU Reporter. So I have to ask you about the first, I'm going to answer the first part of the question, because the second part, I think that Bangladeshi people are more, let's say, they have more information than me. Regarding the question of contacting the EU External Service, I believe that today with the organizations which organized a demonstration in front of the EU External Service here in Schuman, they wrote a letter which is destined to His Excellency Joseph Borrell, and in this letter they explained their demand, and they explained that they need this medical treatment, but also human rights and democracy in their homeland country. Of course, we will wait for the answer of Mr. Borrell. It's legitimate that human rights organizations support this kind of initiative, especially regarding a lady at a certain age and a lady who was one of the builders of the country, a lady who fought for democracy and for women's rights for the country. Regarding the second part, maybe I would ask maybe Mr. Asaduzaman, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can you please answer Mrs. Fiore? Thank you.
Can you please summarize her question now?
Sorry?
What is her exact question? I just missed it.
She said that maybe she thinks that maybe the situation of Mrs. Khaleda Zia is not as critical as it is because she has high blood pressure, or maybe she wants to.
Thank you for the question.
Sorry,
it is not
can I
the
just
question of
try to ask my question again?
Mr.
Yes.
Asaduzaman, can you please wait? She's going to ask her question again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So what was described is you know, diabetes and high blood pressure, and I have diabetics in my family, so I know that can be a very serious condition, and you certainly want good treatment for it. But I can see the perspective that it's difficult to send somebody outside the country for treatment, particularly if they've been in prison, whatever your view of why she's in prison.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Would it be better to get it that treatment, the best treatment that's available in Bangladesh? And it would be unfair to other people in Bangladesh if this person was given treatment outside the country that wasn't available to other people in Bangladesh.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, she is not required to go for treatment in abroad for her diabetes or high blood pressure. As I have said that the medical board has prescribed very unequivocally, very clearly, that she is suffering from liver cirrhosis. And for liver cirrhosis, there is no advanced treatment here in Bangladesh. She has been admitted in a private hospital in Bangladesh, which is the best in Bangladesh. All diplomats go there and take their treatment. But that doctors, that hospital, the medical board of that hospital has prescribed that her treatment for liver cirrhosis cannot be given up to the highest level here in Bangladesh. So the conception that she is required to go for advanced treatment abroad for her diabetes and her high blood pressure, it is not the correct conception. It is her liver cirrhosis. So I think I am clear enough about this question. Am I
Yes,
clear?
I think that we have, thank you so much, Mr. Asaduzaman, for your answer. I think that we have two questions. Yes, sir, would you introduce yourself and ask your question?
Hello, this is Serhan Basson from Brussels Morning Newspaper. I would ask a question to all leaders here. Given the critical situation, Madam Khaleda Zia is there, what are the possibilities for sending a high-level delegation to Bangladesh? Because the situation in Bangladesh is very difficult, and working on sending her abroad without working forcefully on that would be not practical. So what are the possibilities to send a high-level delegation to Bangladesh to visit her?
Thank you so much, sir. Any representative of the Bangladesh National Party to answer the question, maybe? Asaduzaman. Okay, Mr. Asaduzaman, can you please answer the question of our journalist from Brussels Morning, please?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I missed another answer. I didn't answer the earlier question, the second part of earlier question. That is whether a prisoner can be sent for treatment in abroad. Being a lawyer, a litigation lawyer, I can certainly assure that the government has that jurisdiction under section 401 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, which is practiced here. Number two, there are two examples, precedents. One is a former minister of Awami League, the present authoritarian government, Mr. Nasim, who was convicted and then who was allowed to take his advanced treatment in Singapore. Another one is a former minister of Awami League cabinet, who was Mr. Asham Abdul Rab. He was allowed to go to Germany for his advanced treatment. So this is not nothing new here in Bangladesh. This is within the four corners of legal framework. Number two, yes, of course, we encourage, we appreciate sending up any team from EU to look into the matters deeply, very deeply, because the fascist government who is running the country right now has destroyed the democratic norms. You know, you might appreciate that the UN Human Rights Council had sent a list to this government that these people are missing for a long time, who are subjected to enforced disappearance. Please allow us to visit that. This government did not allow them to visit that. This government give them any particulars as requested by UN Human Rights Council. So if EU team comes and visit Begum Khaleda Zia and look into the matter, it will be highly appreciated, and we will be highly glad to see their opinions and investigations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asaduzaman. I would like to add something, is that last elections were in Bangladesh were organized on the 31st of December, which is impossible for MEPs or EU delegation to go there. So this is just a reminder that we have to support free elections in Bangladesh and to support the initiative of the Bangladeshi civil society for free elections and for democracy. Thank you so much. I have other two questions. So yes, please, can you introduce yourself, sir, and give us your question? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jamil Maqsood, and I'm Brussels-based human rights activist. Also affiliated.
I can't hear you.
Maybe we should give you the mic. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay, thank you. I'm Brussels-based human rights activist and also affiliated with the United Nations Human Rights Council. And thank you for being here to clarify the health conditions of Mrs. Khaleda Zia. For me, it seems a very similar case like the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mian Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, who was also convicted by the Supreme Court, but later he was allowed to go to United Kingdom for his advanced medical treatment. So before asking the government why the Supreme Court of Bangladesh is not allowing her on the prescription of medical board so that she could have that advanced treatment anywhere in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jamil Maqsood. We wait for the answer of Mr. Asaduzzaman. Maybe, sir, I get back to you later if you don't mind, because we have Mr. Chris Wine waiting for his speech. Yes. Yes, Mr. Asaduzzaman, can you answer, please? Sorry, we don't hear you.
Yeah, I have only one question here. Why we don't approach to the judiciary? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
This is the question.
Okay, fine. First of all, we went to the judiciary for her bail. We did not get bail from the judiciary, as this is publicly perceived that in Begum Khaleda Zia's case, judiciary, being the Supreme Judiciary of Bangladesh, is not playing the guardianship role. Number two, since the government has invoked its jurisdiction under 401 and has allowed her to stay at home, that is house arrest, as has been reported by UK government in its 2021 human rights report, 2020 human rights report. So now we cannot go back to judiciary again. The judiciary will say that since the government is insisting of the matter, we cannot entertain it. That is the apprehension of the legal team. In that view of the matter, we are demanding it from the government.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asaduzzaman. We are going to alternate, as I said, between our speakers here in Brussels Press Club and our speakers joining on Zoom. Let me give the floor to Mrs. Chris White, who is a journalist in the Daily Mirror. Mr. Chris White, thanks for joining, and we are listening to you.
Hello there. I just better correct you. I'm a former Fleet Street journalist, but never worked for the Daily Mirror. I'm sorry to have to correct you.
Sorry.
I'm a very non-political person. My question is, in a way, offering an opportunity for reassurance. Prime Minister Khaleda Zia appointed Mathieu Rahman Nizami and Ali Hassan Mohammed Mohad, you have to excuse my pronunciation, were both members of Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh as cabinet ministers from 2001 to 2006, when she was prime minister. The question I'd just like clarification on is, has the Bangladesh Nationalist Party severed its ties with the group, many of whose leaders were, as we all know, tried as war criminals in the courts? That's my question.
Thank you so much. Maybe any leader of the Bangladesh party to answer, or maybe Mr. Asaduzzaman?
I think if anyone is there, I'm fine, I can answer. But if any one of my colleagues, I don't know, they can also answer, but I'm ready to answer.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think that you are the expert here.
Okay, fine. Number one is Mr. Motiur Rahman Nizami, who was a political ally of the ruling government, Awami League in 1996, who fought against Begum Khaleda Zia and her government in 1996, along with this present authoritarian regime. This is the history. Number two, Motiur Rahman Nizami belonged to a political party which was never declared a banned political party. It was a political party which is still doing their politics here in Bangladesh. So Motiur Rahman Nizami was not a banned politician, or his party was not a banned political party. Number three is that Motiur Rahman Nizami's party was a political ally to Begum Khaleda Zia's 2001 government. And he was elected by the people. He was not charged with any criminal offenses at that time. He was not a convicted person at that time. Bearing all this in mind, he was recruited in the cabinet. You can make an investigative journalism that he was one of the politicians here in Bangladesh with whom this present authoritarian regime had gone for street movement against Begum Khaleda Zia. And subsequently, when Motiur Rahman Nizami was charged with the War Crimes Tribunal, all BNP had said is that we want fair trial for any people. And regarding that trial, the international community reported, especially the Human Rights Watch, the Amnesty International, they had questioned the fairness of those trials. We are not saying anything on that because BNP did not support either Motiur Rahman Nizami or they did not go against Motiur Rahman Nizami during trial. All BNP wanted was that the trial should be neutral, impartial, fair in international standard. That was all about. This is our position.
Thank you very much for that clarification. That was very useful.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let's move on to the last question before going back to the webinar and to the panelists here. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is James Wilson. I'm the director of the International Foundation for Better Governance. I have a question concerning the links of the government of the former Prime Minister to the organization known as Jamaat-e-Islam Bangladesh. It has been suggested to me that this could be one of the stumbling blocks which is holding up discussions. Obviously, this is historical, but could I have an answer, please, from the BNP? Are these links continuing? And if they are, do you have any intention to sever your links with Jamaat-e-Islam Bangladesh? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think I would come back again to Mr. Asaduzzaman.
I think this question is very pertinent in the international perspective. Number one, Jamaat Islam is a political party which is not banned in Bangladesh. Number two, there are communications with this party by several international diplomatic missions as well. Those who invite them in their social gathering and all these things. Number three, had it been why Jamaat Islam is figured out in front of BNP, there are two questions. Number one, regarding 1971 roles of Jamaat leaders, trial has been commenced and concluded. Now Jamaat being an open political party, BNP is choosing not only Jamaat, any political party who is legally entitled to practice democratic practice here in Bangladesh, who is against the fascism, against the authoritarian government, who is for the restoration of democracy in Bangladesh, who is for restoring human rights situation in Bangladesh, who is for in favor of an impartial judiciary in Bangladesh. BNP is welcoming each and every political party. If Jamaat does not support this kind of agenda of BNP, of course, Jamaat will not be with us. Our agenda is very clear. We are a democratic party. We are fighting for restoration of democracy. We are fighting for human rights. We are fighting for independence of judiciary. We are fighting for constitutional regime. We are fighting for rule of law. These are our agenda. If tomorrow any portion of Awami League leaders come and join us and say that we support this agenda, they are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Asaduzzaman. We go back now to the panelists here in the room, and I have the first female speaker here today. Thank you for joining, Mr. Mumtaz Al Ahmad, who is the president of Wutaran Human Rights Branch. Thank you, Mrs. Mumtaz, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I am Mumtaz Alo, president of Human Rights Association. Came here today to demand unconditional release of Begum Khaleda Zia, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, who is imprisoned of a false publicated case created by illegal Hasina government. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Mumtaz, for this call and for your speech to release Mrs. Khaleda Zia and to ask for her medical treatment abroad. Thank you so much. Let's move to our next panelist, who is Mr. Muhammad Amir Naim, who is councillor, city councillor here in Brussels in the Socialist Party, and he's also councillor in the police in Midi Zone. So, Mr. Muhammad Amir, the floor is yours, and thank you for coming here today, and thank you for your time.
Is it on? Yeah. Good day, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank that I've been invited and I'm been honored to address today the main issue of human rights violation in Bangladesh. So I would like to present myself, Muhammad Amir Naim Sani, and I'm elected councillor in the municipality of Anderlecht, and I'm serving as a councillor for the police responsibilities there of the zone Midi, the South zone. So actually, I would like to first tell you a little bit about the subcontinent politics. Don't forget that it is a man-oriented society. The women, they have to struggle a lot to become forward and to have some important responsibilities in the politics. Actually, I belong to Pakistan, from Pakistan. So we have the same case. There was a woman firstly elected by the people of the Pakistan, and she was murdered. She was assassinated. You can imagine the political system of subcontinent. This is a really very, very, very difficult system there. The political victimization is all over the subcontinent. And what I have seen in the past, Madam Khaleda Zia, she did a lot for the country. This is, I will left it apart, but only the two things that in the education center, she did a lot. And the country, in the subcontinent, we were talking at that time about the educational system of Bangladesh. We were giving example of that. I remember very well. And then the weak economy of the country, that was very well boosted up in that session. So now, at that time, when she was present in 2018, okay, but we have to see a little bit of the judicial system also of the subcontinent. This is not very, very clear now at all. I can see in Pakistan, I can see in India, I have seen in Sri Lanka, I have seen in Bangladesh. There are always, there are violations of basic human rights. And as an activist of human rights, what I would like to say that Begum Khaleda Zia, according to his doctor panel, that she have to fly abroad to have her treatment, which is not possible in Bangladesh. I think this is a ground that it is enough that she have to be released from there with some guarantee, with some, I don't know, she have to accord a bail to go there and then come back. Because I don't think so when she is in a good health, she will participate once again. We have seen a lot of examples in subcontinent. The people, they were in jail, then they come out, they have their struggles, then they become once again elected, and then they can serve their country. So the main thing is that subcontinent region, it's not only the country is involved. There are some neighboring countries, sometimes they are involved in their politics. We have seen the influence of now at the moment, the biggest country in the subcontinent, it's India. We have seen his influence everywhere. We have seen in Sri Lanka, we have seen in Nepal, we have seen in Pakistan, we have seen in Bangladesh either. This is out of context a little bit, but I have seen two very pinpointed questions about the Jamaat-e-Islami. If Mr. He is gone, he is listening as a no?
He's gone, I think.
He is gone. Okay. He answered very well, but why I am talking about it, because the Jamaat-e-Islami exists also.
Mr. Asaduzaman, can you listen to us?
I'm hearing. I'm very much.
Okay. Thank you. So, no, I am not at all I have no authority to answer answer on your behalf, but I would like to share my experience actually. We have seen in Afghanistan, when we have deal with the Taliban, and we provided everything to the Taliban to fight against the Russians, then they were good Taliban. And when the Russians were defeated, now they are bad Taliban. So it's the same thing. The religious parties, they are not banned in the countries, but what we have to do to educate them, to bring them in the political system, with the political ethics, we never did. We never did any effort. So these roots will be always there. And sometimes they become fundamentalist when they think that we are abandoned. And we have abandoned a lot of times. These factors, these religious factors I have seen in Pakistan very soon. Government have to bend his knees in front of some fundamentalists. Why? Because they are very well rooted in subcontinent. And now, on the other hand, we are seeing in the India, if you can see the Hindutva, the BJP, that what they are doing, the same thing. They are the basic violations of human rights, of the human rights everywhere in the subcontinent. So, as well as Madam Khaleda Zia, I think on the legal basis, she have to be, granted to come here in, I think they suggest her to go to the UK, yeah? What I have heard from the panelists. Ireland, yeah, okay. In Ireland for her treatment. So this is also my demand as a human rights activist. So I don't have a lot to say about it. There are some Bengali speakers, and you know very well the Bangladesh National Party, Babu Bhai and company. I have already met with them. So these are my concerns. And somebody he asked about that no European representative is here at the moment. I can assure you, madam, that we have tried to contact with them. We sent them the emails on the behalf of the Socialist Party and with the Babu Bhai. But actually, if you see that we are going, we have a newly elected president, and now the subcommittees actually, they are going to be formed.
No, excuse me, sir. We had an opening with MEP.
Yes,
we have
I have
already
seen,
an
but
MEP
for today,
from EPP party, Mr. Martuchello. He opened the debate. So we have already someone from the parliament, I mean, who is also following the situation in Bangladesh very closely.
Yes, I agree with you. It was particularly for today's event, actually. Why they are not sitting here, she asked, actually.
Yeah, because
that was only thing, that they are busy.
Yeah, they are busy, and yeah, he, as you have seen, he was traveling. So, but we had a few minutes of his time because, as you said, there was an election lately in Strasbourg. So most of them are working and preparing the new delegations actually in the European Parliament. So,
on the base of the Socialist Party, I can assure you, everywhere in the world, madam, wherever there are violations of the human rights, we are present. So I can tell you that not today, maybe in very future, she will be here, and other European Parliament members, they will come in, because the fundamental rights are the human rights. So now she's not been granted actually his right, because she's 76 years old now. We have to see that she is not as young that she can, she have to come out on the on the medical treatment basis. So thank you very much for listening, sir. And I hope that the situation in Bangladesh will be soon restored. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad Amir Sani from, he's a city councillor in Anderlecht and also a councillor in the police in the South Zone in Midi. Thank you so much. Now I move to another lady who is speaking on behalf of GNMPF, the Human Rights Organization, Mrs. Hassan Shamima Akhtar Ruby, who is International Affairs Secretary, the Women Wing of Bangladesh National Party Central Committee. Mr. Hassan, the floor is yours, and thank you for joining on behalf of the women of your organization.
Good morning. Thank you, sir. Today I am joining this Shamima Hassan from President Jatiyotapadi Nagarik Mukti Parishad, a human rights organization in France, and I am also International Affairs Secretary of Women Wing of Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Dear Honorable guest, chief guest, keynote speaker, representatives of human rights organization, BNP leaders and activists, journalists, members of the civil society, professional persons, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to all of you for attending this program. Today, I would like to address you for restoration of human rights in Bangladesh and to tell you about the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia, who is the victim of politically influenced judiciary in the country. Begum Khaleda Zia, BNP chairperson, a 77-year-old woman, 3 times elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh, is now subjected to political repression and persecution by the current authoritarian regime. Her right to life is controlled by an executive order of Sheikh Hasina Wajid, the current head of the authoritarian government. BNP chairperson of Begum Khaleda Zia has been implicated in a member of politically motivated case in connection of which she is compelled to live a restricted life that is termed as house arrest by the UK government in its 2020 human rights reports. It is widely reported in home and abroad that Begum Khaleda Zia has been suffering from various old age ailments, including liver cirrhosis, followed by a test of COVID positive. A high-powered medical board of Evercare Hospital, Dhaka, has recommended her for advanced treatment in any developed country, noting that her advanced treatment is not possible in Bangladesh. Pursuant to such medical prescription, demand of her advanced treatment in abroad have been made not only by BNP, but also by, amongst others, members of civil society, university teachers, professional bodies, and various political parties, so on. But to the author's surprise and dismay, the authoritarian government is not only denying her right to have an advanced treatment for safeguarding her right to life, but also giving some bullshit excuses, misinterpreting the relevant provision of law being Action 401 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1898. The ambiguous statement and opinion of the law minister on the advanced medical treatment of Begum Khaleda Zia are incorrect, malafide, and made with an ulterior motive, because Section 401 of the Code of Criminal Procedure (CRPC) has authorized government to suspend to remit the sentence of any convicted person conditionally or unconditionally. The government, upon exercising the power under the section, may amend, supplement, alter, and or revise any such condition. Section 401 and 1(6) has authorized the government to frame general rules or issue special orders giving direction to regulate the suspension of sentence and the condition of any suspension. However, no such general rules or special orders has been framed or issued by the government until date. In the given fact and circumstance, it is clear that all power is respect of allowing Begum Khaleda Zia for receiving advanced treatment is currently lying with the de facto government and nowhere else. About Khaleda Zia, the authoritarian government is doing the reverse, perverse, misleading interpretation, causing serious prejudicial act to the right to life, the most popular leader of Bangladesh. She is majestic woman, the pride of our women's society in Bangladesh. She was the most to introduce free education for women. Therefore, we, as a human rights activist, strongly demand on behalf of the women's society that the government of Bangladesh be expanded to send her abroad for advanced treatment, immediately save her life. Thank you very much for hearing my speech. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hassan Shamima, who is the president of the president of Human Rights Organization and the International Affairs Secretary of Women Wing of Bangladesh National Party, and who is also a human rights advocate and women's rights advocate, and calling for the immediate release of Mrs. Khaleda Zia and especially her treatment abroad, because this is something very urgent and should be done now, as you said. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Maybe we can move to our next speaker. Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. Yes. So our next speaker is coming right from Sweden. And he is Mr. Mohideen Ahmed Zintu, who is former president of Sweden branch, chief advisor of Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Thank you for joining from Sweden. Thank you. The floor is yours.
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে আপনি হোস্ট যে করে তার এর সাথে কথা বলেন from England Mr. Advisor of our chairman join people he want to not president advisor of our and also international affairs secretary Mr. Kumar he want to join yes he can join should we send them the link no already link is there you can talk of between how much time you want to
yes sir you can join in 5 minutes how long is your speech 5 minutes 2 minutes yeah in 2 minutes you can join thank you so much sir do you hear me
2 minutes
hello sir so we have a speech here with the panelists so in 2 minutes he will be finishing and you can join in 2 minutes
ওয়ান ভাই আমরা 2 মিনিটের ভিতরে আমার বক্তব্য শেষ করছি এরপরে আপনি আমার বক্তব্য দিবেন
hello
okay
yes thank you
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim I respect Bangladeshi leaders I respect European Union's leaders, MEP, and journalists, all journalists, and our colleagues, European Union's leaders,
take my salam. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mohiddin Ahmed Jintu. I am from Sweden. I am Swedish citizen. Originally, I am born in Bangladesh. You may question why I am here to speak up today. Well, actually, there is no democracy, no freedom of expression or any safe place to speak up with an open mind in the rules of Bangladeshi law. BNP chairperson and former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, she is 3 times Prime Minister, because mother of democracy, Begum Khaleda Zia, has been convicted for a prison term in politically motivated false and fabricated case. Begum Khaleda Zia is now admitted as a patient in the hospital. Her situation is not good. Condition is very, very critical. She does not get any proper treatment in Bangladesh. By that, we want urgent release for Begum Khaleda Zia and ensure her permitted to travel abroad for treatment in advanced medical center in another country, perhaps in Europe or any other country, so that she get proper treatment. I hope that you all have listened, and I am sincerely asking you for your help and kindness. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mohiddin Ahmed Zintu, who is former president of Sweden branch and chief advisor in Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Thank you for your message and thank you for your words, who are very peaceful, and they are calling for solidarity to support Mrs. Khaleda Zia. And we are here all supporting the Bangladeshi, the civil society, working and advocating for peace and for human rights. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have a very high-level speaker joining us online, who is the advisor of the president of Bangladesh Nationalist Party from London. So we are waiting for him to join and to give us some hints about the situation. Okay, he is the direct president. Thank you for the precision. Leo, is he joining? Yes, he's joining. Yeah, okay. Hello, sir. Do you hear us? Hello, sir. Hello, Mr. Kabir.
Yep. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for joining.
Yep.
We are very honored to have you today among us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
yes.
for the invitation. Just to reiterate, I'm special advisor to the acting chairperson, Mr. Tariq Rahman of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and secretary for international affairs on the National Executive Committee of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party.
Thank you. So I have a small introduction here about about our speaker. So Mr. Humayun is currently Secretary for International Affairs on the National Executive Committee of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. He is also Special Advisor, as you have said, to Tariq Rahman, Acting Chairperson of the BNP on International and Strategic Affairs. His special interests related to Bangladesh, US relation, engagement with the EU and Bangladesh's place in South Asia and the Asia-Pacific region, as well as international security and geopolitics. Mr. Humayun, we are very pleased to have you among us today. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I'm delighted to be here, sort of before you this morning, probably morning still Brussels time, I guess. Yes, so I thank my colleagues in partnership with you who have arranged this press conference today. We're in Bangladesh, as it stands now, is in a grave situation vis-a-vis human rights and political instability, with the democratic process totally dismantled. I would like to just take a few minutes to talk about the case of Begum Khaleda Zia, former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, in fact, the first democratically elected Prime Minister, women Prime Minister in a Muslim-dominated country. She restored parliamentary democracy in the early 90s in Bangladesh. And I want to just touch on her case for a bit. What we must understand with the case of Begum Khaleda Zia, that it is a political prosecution. It's not a legal prosecution. It's not going through any due legal process. So to look for legal loopholes in this case is basically, frankly, wasting time. It's a clear political decision taken by a rogue executive led by Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh in trying to tame the opposition movement, the people of Bangladesh, in restoring democracy. So the premise of her case is the fact that she is a very popular democratic leader of the country, and it is to bar her from public participation that these farcical cases, one after another, have been brought against her, which are not going through any due legal process. It is continuous, consistent political interference from the Prime Minister's office to ensure that she is politically prosecuted. Amnesty International have called for her case to be allowed to be heard through UN standard of minimum rules on the treatment of prisoners, which also is known as the Nelson Mandela rule. For Amnesty to call for that, they've gone through all due diligence processes in identifying that she is being treated unfairly and she is subject to political prosecution in Bangladesh. In terms of what we see in recent events in Bangladesh, the US has placed sanctions on law enforcement authorities for gravely violating human rights. So that gives us a clear picture on the human rights situation in the country, where the law enforcement at the helm and mercy of the rogue executive, the highly flawed executive of Sheikh Hasina, where they are being instructed to carry out enforced disappearances, to go and kill people, shoot at political rallies of opposition parties, etc., has led to this situation where now the US have applied sanctions. A lot of democratic leaders from the EU, from the members of the European Parliament, members of the Congress and Senate in the US, members of the British Parliament here in London have called for Sheikh Hasina's regime to stop sort of applying the state terror on opposition activists in Bangladesh. So this has been happening for the last 10 years or more now, I'd say 13, 14 years now. And it's a consistent pattern. So in terms of Begum Zia's case, it must be challenged from a political perspective. It's a clear political prosecution. We're seeing criminals, business criminals, so-called business people who are looting people's money, who are involved in criminalized activities within the country, are being given access to private jets to flee from prosecution within the country by the government. Yet, this is a prime minister, this is someone who is prominent, who has done a lot for women's education in Bangladesh, who has been a key partner in the war against terror in the region for Western allies, being denied here. And in terms of what we need to see more from the EU, where we think the EU to an extent has fallen short, in terms of, we saw under Mogherini's, High Representative Mogherini's leadership of the Foreign Ministry within the EU Commission, that she has gone hard on Cambodia, but has failed, on the other hand, to sort of bring about any kind of dialogue that will restore democracy in Bangladesh through free, fair elections. Bangladesh is the second largest recipient of EU development assistance after Afghanistan. The EU have failed to observe or be invited to observe, free, fair elections in Bangladesh on 2 consecutive occasions, and that is not good enough. The EU needs to now raise its voice in terms of against those political prosecutions, including the case of Begum Khaleda Zia, and for free space to allow, democratic movement and democratic voices to prevail. Because unless you do so, in terms of EU's own objectives around universal human rights and democracy, will start to be questioned by the people of Bangladesh. As the second largest recipient country, second largest multilateral partner, development partner of Bangladesh, are failing to observe elections, are not being invited, knowing the country is going in the wrong direction, and yet you cannot pull your leverages and weight behind it to put it in the right direction, then I think members of European Parliament who, Mr. Martisiello, please forgive me if I've mispronounced your name, friends in the European People's Party, European Socialist Party, European Green Party, it doesn't matter which political spectrum you're in, but if you believe in the universal, sort of parliamentary democracy, human rights, rule of law, then we must, with urgency, advocate the case of Bangladesh within the European Parliament and draw the attention of High Representative Mr. Borrell urgently to act on Bangladesh and act on the case of Begum Khaleda Zia to free her and sort of facilitate her treatment abroad. Her medical team have held a press conference stating their limitations, stating the sort of the interference that they face in carrying out her treatment, and she needs treatment abroad urgently. And there are potentially 2 or 3 medical centers of excellence around the world who can carry out that procedure. So she needs that urgent support. It's just not about freeing Begum Khaleda Zia for treatment abroad, but it's about freeing the space for the people of Bangladesh to come out and, in terms of establish their rights and restore the rights of the people in the country. So I would urge through this press briefing today, that the case is taken up with serious consideration, with immediate effect, with the High Representative of the EU, and the EU must, do much more in terms of it must meet the same, level as the current US government is leveraging on Bangladesh, and at the same time, in terms of not just to hear what the government is saying, inviting the ambassador of Bangladesh to the South Asian Delegation Committee within the European Parliament, is not hearing the voice of the people of Bangladesh. The ambassador of Bangladesh does not represent the people of Bangladesh. It's a highly flawed regime. It's unelected. It rigged its way through the elections. She does not, in terms of, they do not represent the people of Bangladesh. They represent a reign of terror. And that must be understood by the European Commission, the European Parliament. And space must be allowed for further people's representations to be made within the European organizations, so that you have access to and information firsthand to what is happening, and you hear and get the balanced coverage of people across society in Bangladesh. Labor rights. I mean, EU had a pact with Bangladesh on labor rights. For the last 10 years, Bangladesh has been failing on that. But you won't get these micro level facts right unless the macro level governance of the country is right. Where there is lawlessness, no rule of law, how can you expect factories to have, factories that are affiliated with ruling party, corrupt politicians belonging to the ruling party, corrupt business people belonging to the ruling party to implement those? So you won't get that. So in terms of the dialogue that the EU has continued to have with Bangladesh has not bared any fruits on sort of making a democratic transition. So it's about time the EU pulled its leverages and actually came up with some impactful measures to be on the side of the people of Bangladesh. So we hope that will be the case. And the case I would again conclude with is that Begum Khaleda Zia's case is not a legal case. It cannot be solved legally because the whole legal system itself is flawed. The institution has been destroyed, and the institution is being pressured and influenced against Begum Khaleda Zia to bar her from public participation, bar her from the democratic process of the country. But first and foremost, what she needs, number one, is urgent treatment. And we urge you also, secondly, to understand the reasons why she is being prosecuted in this way. So it is a political case. It is political interference. The premise of her case is stemming from a political decision from the Prime Minister's office, or the Prime Minister rather, Sheikh Hasina, wanting her to be away and barred from the people of the country. So I urge urgent action on that front, and I'm grateful for this opportunity that you've given me today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Humayun Kabir, Secretary for International Affairs on the National Executive Committee of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Special Advisor to Tariq Rahman, Acting Chairperson of the BNP on International and Strategic Affairs. Thank you for these insights. They were very, very important, especially regarding political prisoners and the situation in Bangladesh, but also regarding human rights organizations and the need to fight for free elections in Bangladesh, as well as the need to protect the opposition leaders. And this is what we are going to do through these initiatives with the human rights organizations here in Europe, to address a letter to His Excellency, the High Representative, the EU High Representative, Mr. Joseph Borrell, and to call them to listen to this civil rights organizations calling for free Khaleda Zia, but also to free political prisoners and for free elections. Thank you so much. Now we move on to our next speaker. I was told that Mr. Wajid Khan is trying to join us, so this is very important to have former MEP, but also His Excellency is a member of the UK House of Lords, so it would be great that he would join us to give us some insights and to share his advocacy for human rights and labor rights as well. In the meantime, maybe we have another speaker. So Maybe the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear members of European Union, audience and journalists, I am Imdad Hussain Kochi on behalf of the Bangladesh Central Organization in Sweden. The Central Organization is a socio-cultural organization. I would like to draw the international community's attention, especially the European Union and its relevant organization, to the fact that the ailing former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia, who is now serving a shame and not purported jail sentence in Dhaka, is in a critical health condition that demand an advanced qualified medical treatment abroad. The present ruling party under the leadership of Sheikh Hasina is not allowing Begum Zia to enjoy her prerogative as being the 3 times former minister of Bangladesh. To make it happen, fervently seek the EU and its relevant organization immediate diplomatic efforts to make her released and pave the way for an urgent medical treatment abroad. Unfortunately, due to her unsolicited imprisonment in an isolated confinement, and so also the multiple complex nature of her health problem, her condition has been gravely deteriorating since long. Without access to any adequate medical treatment over the year, she is in a dire threat of losing her life. Begum Khaleda Zia, as an acclaimed figure, had in leading the fight to restore democracy in Bangladesh. I strongly urge you, who is an important development partner of Bangladesh, to take strong diplomatic steps in this regard. Among many of her credentials, Begum Khaleda Zia is widely viewed as an icon and mother of democracy in Bangladesh. It was she who first innovated girls' education. She was the first woman to be elected as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. The call for Khaleda Zia to be released for treatment abroad is a matter of strong public interest, both in Bangladesh and amongst the Swedish Bangladeshi diaspora here in Europe. We wish and expect that the European Union will leave no stone unturned to make it a reality and immediately take all the necessary measures and steps to save the life of this allying opposition leader of Bangladesh, Begum Khaleda Zia. We are optimistic and feeling very much hopeful about your diplomatic intervention as soon as possible. Meantime, I remain, sir, yours sincerely, Imdad Hussain Kochi. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So thank you, Mr. Imdad Hussain Kochi, the president of the Bangladeshi Nationalist Party in Sweden, and the Bangladeshi Center organization in Sweden as well. Thank you so much for joining us from Sweden, and thank you for your insights and for calling for the release and for the medical treatment abroad of Mrs. Khaleda Zia. Maybe we could go to our next speaker. Mr. Iqbal Hussain Babu, who is the General Secretary, Bangladesh Nationalist Party of Belgium branch and president of one NGOs of Bangladesh. So I would like also to thank Mr. Iqbal Hussain Babu and Mr. Rahman, also the president of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, for their efforts for their big efforts to contribute to this event, to organize the demonstration, but also to co-organize and contribute to the success of this event. So nothing would be possible without their efforts and without their contribution. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for raising awareness concerning the situation of human rights and political opposition in Bangladesh. The floor is yours, Mr. Babu.
Thank you. Thank you, Manel. Thank you from here in this press club and outside of here. Thank you for everybody. I want to say from our leaders, the current government of Bangladesh is violating human rights by not allowing the 70-year-old former Prime Minister of Bangladesh and the chairperson of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Begum Khaleda Zia, to get advanced cease treatment abroad. Imprisonment in isolation without any adequate medical treatment over the years due to her being the figurehead in leading the fight of restored democracy in Bangladesh. You know, everybody they know, in our country, the media is not being given freedom of expression. And our people all over the country are being held hostage by the Sheikh Hasina government, except apart from government, party leaders, and workers. Indiscriminate crackdown on the opposition always continues. In recent times, 12 human rights groups have called on the United Nations to impose sanction on the Bangladesh RAB no as a government breakers, and totally inquiry is prevailing in Bangladesh now. Thank you all. Thank you everybody. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you so much, Mr. Iqbal Hussain Babu, who is the General Secretary of Bangladesh Nationalist Party of Belgium branch. Thank you for this message. Thank you for your engagement, and thank you for your commitment to freedom, free elections, and justice in Bangladesh. Maybe we can take some questions now before moving to our next speaker, because he is not connected yet. So maybe we can go to the floor if we have some questions. Because we have a few minutes left before the end of this seminar and webinar at the same time. Maybe any questions or any comments from the audience? Yes, so Mr. Iqbal has one question. Yes, tell us.
Union, they don't take any decision about our chairman's treatment abroad. Why?
Lord Wajid Khan is now joining us. So okay, please, if you can answer them later on.
Yeah, sure. So we get back to the question of Mr. Iqbal. Leo, can you please check if if Lord Wajid Khan is there? No. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't have you on WhatsApp. I don't know why.
Say to him that is your turn.
Yeah, this is the link. Hi. Okay, so I think that we are coming to the end of this seminar and to this webinar. So we are going to summarize the main ideas and the main demands that were communicated during this debate. And we go back to our last speaker, who is joining us today from London. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we have also another lady joining us live from Bangladesh also.
He is on.
So he is on, Mr. Lord. Leo, can you check if Lord Wajid Khan is connected?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, everybody in Brussels.
Hello.
Apologize.
No problem. Thank you so much for joining. So we are happy to have you here today. Mr. Wajid Khan is a politician who served as a member of the European Parliament from 2017 to 2019 and as a mayor of Burnley from 2020 to 2021. And he is member of the House of Lords in the UK. So the floor is yours and thank you for joining. Thank you for your time.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be joining you and want to thank yourself and all the organizers of this very important program. In particularly, I want to thank my good and noble friend, many years, Mr. Ahmed Naeem, for all the work he has been doing on human rights. I stand in solidarity with you all today, and I call upon the European Union, European Parliament, and the Human Rights Committee, and all those that are to talk about human rights to now raise their voice in solidarity with what's happened to Madam Khaleda Zia. For a democracy to function effectively, you need an opposition. You do not silence your opposition. You give democracy its due respect by allowing the opposition the whole opportunity to contest an election. So it really concerns me. We send solidarity to Madam Khaleda Zia for good health. I'm speaking as somebody who is independent, has no affiliation to any political information in Bangladesh, but just for the very single purpose of human rights and the right to contest election free and fair. So I urge the authorities and the government of Bangladesh to do what's right, which is produce an environment, allow free, fair elections in Bangladesh, but also allow your opposition leader to be given the medical facilities and to be treated, as was required. It's a symbolic statement of what's actually happening. This is a regressive backward steps by the government in stifling and silencing their opposition in this manner. It shouldn't happen in 2022. We want to see a strong, successful Bangladesh. I have had the great privilege of visiting Bangladesh when I was a member of the European Parliament, as a member of the South Asia delegation, as well as a member of the Human Rights Committee. And I see Bangladesh has great potential, amazing potential, and it's a great country with people full of energy. And that country needs to be allowed to develop further. We want to see the European Union move past the everything but arms trade agreement, move towards a GSP plus trade agreement in Bangladesh. But unfortunately, when the European Union looks at the current situation of Bangladesh and how they are treating opposition, it is very disappointing, and that should be taken note. We want to see strong progressive policies which is beneficial to the citizens of Bangladesh, of all political inclination, of all cultures, of all communities. So I say this again, as I thank the organisers for bringing me today. We have sat in the House of Lords in the UK Parliament, but I still wish to send you my love, solidarity, compassion, and my prayers to see, firstly, the opposition leader wish a good health, secondly, a strong and vibrant democracy, and thirdly, a fair and free election for the people of Bangladesh. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Lord Wajid Khan, a member of the UK House of Lords and former MEP, for joining us today and for your message. And you really point out very, very important hints, the fact that we need to support Bangladesh democracy. We need to support freedom, free elections. We need also to support the opposition, free opposition leaders, especially Mrs. Khaleda Zia, but also the EU should think twice before giving the GPS plus let's say this kind of economic deal. Think about this economic deal and put values and democracy and human rights first. Thank you so much. Now we have our final speaker, who is joining from Bangladesh. She's a very influential leader. She's actually also a member of the Bangladesh party. And of course, she's one of the women's rights movements in the party. Shama Ubaid, who is a Bangladeshi politician, currently holds the post of organizing the secretary of the Bangladesh National Party. Okay. Sorry, we have a technical problem with internet, so unfortunately Mrs. Shama Ubaid cannot join us. We are going to conclude this debate. We would like to thank all the people who contributed to the success of this debate. We want to thank the MEPs joining, MEP Martuccello. We want to thank also MP and Lord Wajid Khan for joining, as well as the human rights organizations, the leaders of Bangladesh Party, Nationalist Party, and especially Mr. Iqbal Babu and Mr. Rahman for their contribution to the success of this event. And of course, I would like to thank also Gary Cartwright, Chief Editor of EU Today, for covering and organizing that. And of course, the Press Brussels Club. We are going to write a letter destined to His Excellency, the EU High Representative, Mr. Joseph Borrell, to keep him aware of the situation and to support the medical treatment abroad of Mrs. Khaleda Zia, but also to support free elections in Bangladesh. We want to continue to support this human rights organizations to contribute to free elections in 2022. And of course, we would like to thank all the people present here, the demonstrators, people who contributed to the demonstration in front of Schuman roundabout, in front of the EU institutions. We are really grateful to your presence here today. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for all the journalists joining today, Mr. Chris White, and thank you everyone for being here, for supporting democracy and freedom and women's rights. Thank you so much. would like also to thank Mr. Amir for being here. Sorry, Mr. Amir, who is a politician here in Belgium, and he was contributing very actively to the success of this event. Thank you, Mr. Amir, for being here, and thank you for your speech. It was very inspiring, very important to support Bangladesh here from Belgium, actually. Thank you.
ধন্যবাদ জনাব জামাল সরকার মনির ভাই, সাবেক সাধারণ সম্পাদক ফিনল্যান্ড বিএনপি। এই পর্যায়ে আমি বক্তব্য রাখার জন্য আহ্বান করব ফিনল্যান্ডের নবনির্বাচিত কমিশনার আমাদের কবির মোহাম্মদ ভাইকে, ফিনল্যান্ড বিএনপির সাবেক সাধারণ সম্পাদক।
ধন্যবাদ বেলজিয়াম বিএনপি, আপনারা এত সুন্দর প্রোগ্রাম আয়োজন করার জন্য। আমাদের একটাই দাবি, আমাদের বর্তমান বাংলাদেশের যে অবস্থা, আমাদের নেত্রী, দেশ বাঁচাও, আমাদের নেত্রী বাঁচাও। দেশ যদি না বাঁচে, তো নেত্রী যদি না বাঁচে, তো দেশও বাঁচবে না। দেশের বর্তমান অবস্থা খুবই সংকটময়। এই সংকট মুহূর্তে আমরা চাই আমাদের দেশ মুক্ত করতে এবং আমাদের নেত্রী ভালোদেরকে মুক্ত করতে।
ধন্যবাদ মোমিন ভাই। মুক্তি 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 চাই, 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 মুক্তি 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 চাই। সাথী বন্ধুগণ, এই পর্যন্ত